So, good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Gurleen Kaur. Um, I'm going to be your host today. Uh, I hope you all are doing well. On behalf of Association of Dietetics Professionals, I warmly welcome you all on this webinar, Nutrition Career Abroad. So, before we begin, I really want you to please drop your city or state in the chat box. Today's session is specially designed for students, dietitians, nutrition professionals, and anyone who dreams of building an international career in nutrition and dietetics. We will discuss higher education, opportunities in the USA, scholarships, admission process, career pathways, and much more. It is my pleasure to introduce our esteemed speaker, Dr. Miteshri Prajapati. She has completed her PhD in nutrition science from the USA and is working as nutrition scientist. Today, she will share her journey, practical insights, and guidance for those aspiring to pursue a global career in nutrition. Ma'am, we are truly grateful to have you with us today. Thank you for accepting our invitation and taking the time to guide our students. So, before we begin, I really want you to turn on your camera, and this is going to be an interactive session. Please keep yourself on mute throughout the session. Feel free to write your questions in the chat box. We will take them during the Q&A session at the end. Stay till the end to receive your e-certificate and important resources. Without taking much of your time, I now like to invite Dr. Miteshri to begin today's session. Ma'am, the virtual stage is all yours.
Good morning, everyone. How is everyone doing today? Good? I hope so. Happy Sunday, everyone. It's midnight here. I live in New Jersey, USA, and it's a pleasure to be here. I've been an active part of the Association of Dietetics Professionals for a few months now, and it's been truly an honor to be a part of such a talented team. And thank you so much for inviting me for this very special and very important topic in today's time, which is nutrition career abroad, especially if you are wanting to apply to the USA for your higher studies. So I did both like my master's and my PhD from USA, and I will be touching base upon both. But before we dive into all of that, I want to start by collectively taking a moment. So I want each of you to imagine that it's 5 years from now, so 2031, and you have just been invited to give a TED Talk about your work in nutrition. So my question to you is, what would you want the title of your talk to be? So take a moment, think it through. I'm sure you have decided to be here in today's masterclass after much thought that I want to study abroad. I want to pursue my master's or my PhD or higher ed from abroad. So take this time to really think of 5 years from now when you're here in the US or any other country and you are invited to give a TED Talk about your work in nutrition, about your research in nutrition. So what would you want the title of your talk to be? You can put it in the chat and I would love to read your responses. There are no right or wrong answers. Let me just tell you that. There are no right or wrong questions and there are no right or wrong answers to anything. We are going to try to keep an open mind throughout this masterclass, okay? By the end of this presentation, I want everyone to have more clarity. Okay, so still waiting on those responses. Take your time. Are we shy? Are we still thinking? It can't be that difficult. Come on. Again, there are no right or wrong answers. Just think about if you're invited or a subject or a topic that's very close to your heart or you're very passionate about, and you see yourself pursuing or researching that particular topic in the future. Want to work as dietitian abroad? Okay, sure. I hear you, Urmila. But अगर आपको मौका दिया जाता है to come and present a TED talk, what would your topic be? The future of nutrition begins with our roots. I love that. Very nice, Meghna. I would love to touch base on that at some point. Nutritional interventions in metabolic disorder. Very nice. Thank you, Gurleen. Anyone else? Anyone? Nutrients enhancement in traditional foods. Very nice. I love that. I love this. Any other thoughts, ideas before I proceed? Triple burden malnutrition. Wow. That's intense. I love it though. I like it. Triple burden. Very interesting. All right. I mean, thank you, everyone. Nutraceuticals. That is one topic that is very much of an interest for me as well. Very nice. Thank you, ladies, for responding. I really appreciate your participation. And I just want to state that none of you or none of us spoke about the GRE or TOEFL or the test, right? When we talk about the future, none of the tests, none of the eligibility requirements, the documentation, none of that matters, right? So I think that's a good thing. Collectively, we are all on the same page. We are looking at the destination, the goal, and not really the journey. But during this presentation and by the end of it, I want you to take you on this journey where we will be working backwards. Now that you have that vision in mind, I will help you to map the road to reach your destination through this presentation, okay? So I'm going to try not to make it boring. So I would really appreciate everyone participating during the presentation. All right. Okay. So welcome to my masterclass, Nutrition Career Abroad. We will be talking exclusively about US because I'm in the US and I started my journey back in 2015. So it's been 11 years. I'll be completing 11 years in the US on 17th August. Wow. It's been a decade and a year extra. Wow. But anytime somebody asks me what would be my takeaway from this 11 years, I would say I would define these 11 years as character development. I have learned a lot for sure. I have failed and failed miserably. I have made a lot of mistakes and I've learned from them, sometimes the hard way. But if I were to summarize my 11 years in this country, I would define it as character development. Because this country has taught me so much. This country has made me into the version that you see today. I can promise you 11 years ago, I was one of you. I was sitting right there where you are at right now. And unfortunately, nobody was there to guide me. I had to learn on my own. And that is why I learned everything the hard way. So my intention with this masterclass is to reduce that learning curve for you. I'm trying to bridge that gap. मुझे किसी ने नहीं बताया ये करो ये नहीं करो, do this, talk to this person, this is how you write your SOP. I had no coaching, no training. मैं मेरे खानदान में I think I'm the first person in 7 generations to even get a master's or step out of the country for higher ed, you know. So I was the guinea pig in my in my case. So I want to save that time, energy, and effort for you guys. And that is why I want you all to learn from my mistakes and make smarter, informed decisions by the end of this presentation. So, very warm welcome to my masterclass. I am Dr. Miteshri Prajapati, and in 2024, I graduated with my PhD in nutrition science from the University of Texas Women's. I have my PhD certification right here. I'm not making this up. I actually did my PhD. Yes, it took me 4.5 years. This is me on my graduation day. And it feels like yesterday. It's been 2 years, more than 2 years now that I graduated. I am working full time right now. I work in a maternal and child health program. It's funded by the federal government, USDA funded supplemental nutrition program. I'm the chief nutritionist for that. And the program is called WIC, WIC, which stands for Women, Infant, and Children. So basically, what I do is a lot of nutrition ed and counseling for pregnant women, breastfeeding women, postpartum women, newborns, and children from 1 to 5 years of age. So that's the demographic that I'm serving here in New Jersey right now. Okay, and I am not going to make this presentation about me. I want this presentation to be about you, but there will be anecdotes and stories where I feel y'all can gain some knowledge from that. So please bear with me. And if you have questions, please wait till the end. We will be taking all of them. Okay. So I heard some of the responses for where you are joining from. So anyone who's not responded so far, would you like to add where you're joining from today? I have Nagpur, I have Haryana, I have Karnataka, Mangaluru. Yes, Meghna. What else do I have? Anyone else who would like to share with us from where they are joining today? All right. Okay. Moving forward. So what are we going to discuss in this masterclass? I already spoke a little bit about me, but we are also going to help you find your reason to study abroad, especially in the US. And I hope that I can help you build that roadmap by the end of the presentation and talk more about the funding opportunities here and how you can become a global learning expert. See, the thing about studying abroad is, or just studying in general, is you have to be a lifelong learner, right? Studying is not age dependent. It doesn't, matter whether you're 30, you are 25, or you're 60 something. When you travel anywhere outside India, in fact, any education system, you will see that तुम्हारे साथ there are retired military people who are in your class. You will see there is a mom of 5 children who's in your class, So as much as it was a cultural shock for me, I thoroughly enjoyed that सीखने की कोई उम्र नहीं होती है, and that's something that I learned in the US, right? Because when I was pursuing my master's, in my class, there was a 60-year-old who was a retired Navy officer, and he decided to pursue his master's at 60. So again, like, if you want to learn, you're at the right place, okay? And before I let you guys go, we will be talking about your vision board. followed by the question and answering session. Okay, so, okay, people who can answer on the poll, please do that. But if not, can you drop in the chat box, why do you want to study abroad? I would really want to know your reason why you guys are attending this masterclass today. So what is the reason? Why do you guys want to study abroad? If you can drop it in the chat, that would be amazing. And if there is a way y'all are already on the poll, I would love to see the responses as well. Okay, Jatin is saying research opportunities. Meghna is saying research. Perfect. Anyone else? Global experience. I love that. Thank you, Amrita. Who else? I know it's Sunday morning. Maybe some of you have just woken up. I completely understand, but your participation will really help us make this class more fun rather than boring, which is my goal. Research and global experience, very good. Anyone else before I move along? Global experience and updating my knowledge, very nice. Very nice, thank you. Nobody's talking about higher earning potential, very impressive. वो Three Idiots का dialogue याद आता है. Everyone is trying to run behind excellence, not the money. The money should always be the byproduct. So that's really good to know. Anyone else before I move along? No? Okay. Okay. Thank you everyone for responding. So most of you are looking for either research opportunities in the US, or you just want to experience the culture, have that global learning experience, or just the exposure where you get a chance to share your class with your fellow students from across the globe. And that has been a very integral part of my learning. When I got here, and the first class I ever attended, the lecturer was a German man. Okay, he had immigrated from Germany. Okay, so he had a very thick German accent, you know. And me just being so new to the US, it took me a while to understand accents. And that can be a very common experience for a lot of international students, right? क्योंकि हम इंडिया में रहते हैं, we have so many different kind of accents, right? And it's the same reality in the US as well. Here you'll see professors from all across the globe. I had another professor, she was from Middle East, so she had a very Arabic touch to her English, you know. So it took me a while to like getting used to understanding all the accents. So the first day in my class, I was blank. Like I am sitting, the professor is teaching, but sub bouncer ja raha hai, right? Because I couldn't understand their accents. So I thought I was going to fail my first semester, but I didn't do extremely bad. I got A minuses on my subject, which is equivalent to like the 90% in USA. So I think I did pretty well despite all the challenges. But communication, the speech and accents can be a major challenge for international students. And it's not just about Indian students. Other students who come from China, different countries, you know, Middle East or African countries, you know, they all have equal trouble, if not more, to understand the whole education system, to understand the accent, and really follow what the professors are trying to teach us. So it can be challenging for the first semester, but second semester onwards, you're going to be doing super well. You know, that's a promise. All right, let's look at the next slide. So the turning point in my life. I told you guys a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Mumbai, and I grew up in a very like humble beginnings. I've had very humble beginnings. I am an only child. I don't have siblings. So growing up, I had only one goal, which was to give a better life, not only to myself, but to my parents. So in 2008, I was 17. I got a chance to participate in an exchange program where I had to spend 18 days in Japan. So these are some of the pictures from my journey in Japan when I was 17. Yes. So before the whole मुझे US जाना है, मुझे PhD करना है, there was a little girl who got an opportunity to go outside of India, and I felt I was very lucky, very privileged to get that opportunity even. And I think that trip was the turning point in my life. So there was a Miteshri way before like 2005 who was like a goody two shoes girl, always studying. She just knew she had to work hard, get a nice job, get a better life for her and her family. But then after this Japan trip in 2008, something switched inside of me. वो होता है ना जब when you go out of the house for the first time and you see कि दुनिया कितनी बड़ी है, something unlocks in your head, whether it's the hidden potential, whether you just realize that, wow, if others can do it, you can do it too. So I just want to tell you, everyone who is in the class today, if I can do it, you guys can definitely do it. And I can promise you that. Like, I did my whole journey, the applications and all of that way before AI was a thing. We didn't have chat GPT. We were writing our own SOPs, the statement of purpose. We were writing our GRE and TOEFL essays, and we were giving all of those entrance exam. जो सब change हो चुका है post COVID. So I think if anything, you guys are more lucky because now the process is so much easier. And the second thing is that it's become like information is available out there, right? But the whole purpose is like if somebody has lived that experience and lived that phenomenon, it becomes more clear like what should you be doing and how you should be doing. And of course, like I will keep emphasizing that I have made so many mistakes, learn from my mistakes so that it's going to save you time and money. Because in the slides ahead, you're going to see the mistakes I've made, what it took me, what it costed me, and how it took me 17 whole years to get my bachelor's, master's in India, master's in USA, and then a PhD in USA. So the last 17 years I have only spent studying because I knew I wanted to pursue my PhD from abroad. So there is a requirement that you need to have 12th, so your high school 12th, plus 4 years before you can apply to the US, right? So you have an option of either doing a PG diploma or you have an option of doing a master's. So मैंने सोचा PG diploma करने से अच्छा है इंडिया में master's कर लूँ. So I have a master's in India and I did my master's in nutrition and clinical nutrition and dietetics. That was from ACEND University. So 2012, I graduated with my bachelor's in food nutrition and dietetics from the Mumbai University. And immediately I went for my master's in clinical nutrition and dietetics from ACEND University, again in Mumbai. And then the whole of 2014, I took time to like prepare for my TOEFL, prepare for my GRE, which are the entrance exams, So again, if you are planning to apply abroad, it is either going to be IELTS or it's going to be TOEFL if you plan to study in the USA. So TOEFL is actually an English test, वैसे समझ लो. They will test you on your reading skills, they will test you on your listening and writing skills, and then they will test you on your speaking skills. So that's all that TOEFL is about. 120 marks ka exam hota hai, and it's just an entrance exam to test your English speaking, listening abilities. Okay, if that makes sense. So Abhibi, TOEFL is something that everyone has to prepare for. So if you are serious about applying to the USA for your higher ed, I am going to tell you start preparing for that. The good part is GRE is gone. GRE was the one where you had to do math and English. So the good part is that GRE is not a compulsion anymore. Okay, so that's going to make lives easier, but also now the whole process of applying abroad is so strict, right, with the geopolitical issues and everything. There are added layers of complexity, unnecessary complexity, might I add. But nonetheless, if you know you have the skills, you have the knowledge, and if you prepare a little bit in advance, you will get your admission, you will get your visa, and you will get the degree at the end of the day, if that's the goal. So in 2015, when I first applied here, I had actually applied for a PhD program. Mujhe zabardasti, I was forced to take a master's from the US, the University of Nebraska here, because the program was not a good alignment for me. Okay, this was my mistake number one. So I had an admission from the University of Maryland College Park. I had admission from University of Nebraska Lincoln, and I had an admission from Texas Women's University, all for PhD program back in 2015. Ab hua yu ke I wanted to go to Maryland, and that was my first choice. But the professor who had accepted me into the lab, he was into animal nutrition. So basically, he was asking me to work on rat models, so rat dissection and everything, jo maine kabhi nahi kiya hai, and I was not going to be comfortable doing that. So I, like a fool, declined my admission at that university. Okay, that was my mistake number one. Never reject a good university. No matter abhi professor or tumhara alignment nahi ho raha hai, आगे जाके you can always change the professor. So that was what I learned from my mistake. But anyway, long story short, I still went to University of Nebraska, and a year and a half later in my PhD, I realized, oh my God, my advisor and we are not on the same page. She wanted me to work on something that was not my interest. So I had the option of taking a master's and leaving that program, which I did. That is why I have two masters, one from India and one from US. You guys should not be repeating the same mistakes. So I would say early on, decide, do you want to pursue a master's or do you want to do a PhD? Okay, because both of the requirements and the way you approach your application and submission and all of that is going to differ a lot depending on whether you pursue a master's or a PhD. Okay, so I graduated with my second master's in US in 2017, and then for a year I was working in healthcare, and simultaneously I was also applying for my PhD. मतलब master's करना नहीं था दूसरा, but I was forced to do it. But in the back of my mind, I was like, I set out in 2015 to pursue my doctorate. तो उसके बिना तो मैं कहीं नहीं जा रही. So I was still applying for my PhD, and finally I got admission for my PhD in 2020 from Texas Women's University. So 2020 January, I started my PhD in Texas, Houston, and I graduated in the May of 2024. So it was a full 4 year and 1 semester, so almost a 4.5 year program. Now, the major difference between a master and a PhD is basically the duration, right? Your master's can be anywhere between 1.5 to 2 years program, but if you are applying for a PhD, it can be minimum of 4 years and maximum of 7 years even. Like I have had friends who were in their PhD programs here in the US for 7 years. So kaisa hota hai, like early on you think कि chalo at least 4 saal you are going to take to finish your PhD. But sometimes what happens is there are so many lab work, data collection, the whole research that you are designing, when you have to type your thesis and dissertation. So expand hote sometimes it takes 2 or 3 additional years on top of the 4 years to sometimes complete your PhD. And that is why I'm telling you again, like it is very important to decide early on whether you want to do your master's or you want to do your PhD, because PhD is a wholehearted commitment. Okay. And I'm telling you because I've been through the whole experience, it is not a cakewalk. Okay. Masters, jaise taise, even if you're not happy with the program or the university or anything, 2 साल कैसे भी निकाल सकते हैं, एक इंसान. But when you are in a PhD program, think of it like a marriage. You will not rush into marrying somebody you don't know or you barely know. It's the same kind of love hate relationship that you are going to have with your advisor. And that is why it is so important to select somebody who's not only going to advise you, mentor you, like coach you throughout those 4 years, but अगर 4 साल से ज्यादा लगते हैं तो उसमें भी आपको उनका साथ लगेगा, आपकी एडवाइजर का साथ लगेगा. So you have to be so mindful in choosing which lab, which advisor, which university you're applying for, especially for your PhD. So masters, again, it's more of a career focused degree. But when we talk about PhD, it's pure research focused. You are going to do an original research. You are going to decide the topic. You will come up with the research questions. You're going to collect the data, analyze it, write your dissertation, present the viva, and then get a degree. So it is a long commitment and you have to be very careful. So masters, again, if your end goal is to have more knowledge, more, if you want to be like the subject matter expert, do a masters. But if your goal is mujhe original research karna hai, I see myself teaching in XYZ university, I see myself running a lab in this organization, then a PhD or a doctorate is for you. Okay. Again, masters, it's preparing you for workforce, so it's preparing you for industry. If doing a registered dietitian is your goal, you can work in a hospital setting or in a clinical setting. So that could be another option. And then PhD is literally preparing you for academia. It's preparing you for working in lab. It's preparing you for being a director at an organization. And why do I put leadership in PhD is because you not only learn critical thinking skills, but you learn how to communicate, especially how to communicate science, how to publish, how to write manuscripts. Ye sara intense training is what PhD is all about. आप 4 साल सिर्फ पढ़ाई नहीं कर रहे, आप 4 साल सिर्फ research नहीं कर रहे. You are also presenting at conferences. You are getting invited to speak at conferences. You are publishing and writing manuscripts. You are running a social media campaign or things like that on your campus, for all you know, during your PhD. So PhD is so much more than just studying and getting ready for the workforce. So if your end goal is an overall, readiness, then PhD should be the focus. And if you already have like enough knowledge right now and you just want to upgrade your knowledge so that you are prepared for the workforce, then a master's is a better fit for you at this point. But of course, money can be a big deciding factor. So if you are somebody who's looking for masters, the funding will vary because there are some universities who will provide you partial scholarships. There will be some universities who will say, "Can ek saal, the first year you have to pay fees out of pocket." But maybe from the next year, if your GPA is good, we can give you a TA-ship, which is teaching assistantship, or a research assistantship, or we can waive your tuition. So all of those are possibility when you're doing your master's, but it is not a guarantee. Okay, let's just understand that first. But when we talk about PhD, most of the institute will provide you a fully funded PhD program with a monthly stipend. So stipend can be anywhere from $1,200 to like $2,500 जो आपको यूनिवर्सिटी सामने से दे रही है, because you are working for your own department as a teaching assistant. So you will be asked to teach an undergrad class or something like that. You will be asked to teach a master's level class. You'll be asked to check their assignments and homework or things like that. If you are a research assistant, you will be actively work in the lab. जो भी आपके advisor का lab होगा, you will be actively working in that lab for 20 hours per week, and that is why you will be receiving that stipend. So most of the times, PhD की जब बात करें, you can at least have some surety that you will be getting funded, right? Out of pocket जो expense होगा is not going to be much when you do a PhD versus when you do a master's. Master's, mein, there are chances that at least for the first year, you will have to pay out of state tuition fees from your own expense. So it can be your family funds, it can be your own funds. Agar aap loan le rahe ho, to loan can be a way to, like pay for your education and things like that. So master's level, if you think you are financially stable and you can afford to study abroad, then sure, go ahead and apply for master's. And maybe from second year, you will get a scholarship. But when we come to, or when we talk about a PhD, most of the universities will give you a fully funded PhD, at least for the first 4 years. Maybe after 4 years, depending on whether the lab has funding or not, it may vary, but at least 4 साल आपको दिए जाएंगे कि आप free of cost पढ़ाई करके ऊपर से you will be generating income every month through that stipend. So that is definitely a greater possibility when you're applying for PhD. All right. Okay, so the next question. If money was not a factor, why would you still want to study nutrition in the US? If people can respond to this question, that would be amazing. That again, अगर आप money को निकाल दीजिए बाहर, तो आप क्यों पढ़ाई करना चाहते हैं nutrition in the US? What are some of the reasons? I would love to know that. To get exposure and experience. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Again, guys, there are no right or wrong answers. Exposure and the tag of studying from a well-renowned university. Wow. Okay, we are going to come to that topic. I'm glad somebody brought that up. Okay, I like that though. The exposure. Yes. What else? समझ लीजिए कि पैसे की चिंता ही नहीं करनी आपको. Like money is not a concern for you. Why do you want to then study in the US? You'll be surprised. Like sometimes we don't ask ourselves all of these questions. We just know कि हाँ abroad जाना है, पढ़ाई करनी है. But क्यों? What is your why? Okay, because of good scope of nutrition in the US. Okay, sure, I understand. There are other countries as well, by the way. There is Canada, there is the UK. Like a lot of European universities have amazing nutrition science programs. to explore more subjects of nutrition science. Sure. Yes. Very nice. Very nice. Thank you for responding. Anyone else before I move along? You guys are awfully quiet today morning. All right, let's move along. Okay, so this slide, I wanted to take some time because when we talk about nutrition science, it's more like an umbrella term, okay? It's not like nutrition science matlab sirf एक ही point होगा nutrition का या there's only one specific thing that we are going to talk about to upskill and better innovate in global opportunities. Sure. Thank you, Divyanshi, sorry. Okay, yeah. So coming back to the nutrition universe, it is an umbrella term, right? Because आज से at least like मैं जब bachelor's कर रही थी, there were very fewer specialties that were out there. Clinical nutrition was one, community nutrition was one, and sports nutrition was one. So आज से at least like 17 to 20 years ago, there were only like limited options when we spoke about nutrition science. But fast forward to 2026, there are so many other things that you can be doing in nutrition. For example, public health is one big thing. Epidemiology can be another thing. You can get into molecular or biochemical nutrition. You can talk about flavor profiling and food science or food innovation. In fact, there are MBA programs in the USA that will teach you how to run a food business. So again, it's not directly related to nutrition, but I think it's good to know that we don't have those limited 2 or 3 options anymore. And there are so many things that you can do in today's time when we talk about nutrition science. Then, of course, there is global nutrition, which speaks about everything, health policies, nutrition policies. अगर globally जैसे pandemic या epidemics जो चलता है, those all fall under global nutrition. CDC है, USDA है, जैसे India में we have our organizations doing the research and things like that, right? So all of that falls into global nutrition. Then there is the maternal and child nutrition, which is another like sub branch of global nutrition, you can say. Again, if you are somebody like me who's really interested in exploring more into pregnant women, postpartum breastfeeding, birth, and child nutrition, then maternal and child nutrition can be something that you can explore further. Of course, sports nutrition is big in India as well, and it's big here as well. So sports nutrition yahan pe is often combined with kinesiology. It's combined with exercise science. It's combined with other health sciences courses, So most of these topics under nutrition science umbrella can overlap as well. And the good part about the labs here, they collaborate. So suppose tum XYZ university में US में apply करते हो, right? And you have your own nutrition lab that you're going to be working with. Maybe your nutrition lab is collaborating with the food science department and they are doing something like a cross project, that can benefit the food science student and the nutrition science student. So those possibilities are many in the USA. So when you are ultimately deciding what majors you want to prefer, keep in mind that it will boil down to the advisor that you pick, okay? And I'm going to keep emphasizing why it is important to decide early on who you want to be your advisor. Because again, like I keep saying, PhD or getting a long-term, like degree is a 4 to 5 year commitment. more maybe, and to align with the same interests that you may have with your advisor is the most important relationship that you're going to build throughout the PhD. So keep in mind that even before you decide this is the university I'm going to apply to, you have to sit down and choose which advisor you want to work with. Then comes the university. Okay, most of the times people here नहीं पहले university select करते हैं फिर advisor assign किया जाता है. I would suggest, especially if you want to apply for PhD, first select the advisor, then think about which university that is in, and you can feel free to like apply to that particular university. First, you need to speak to somebody who's ready to take you in as a PhD student, okay, before we go about doing anything else in the application. And then, of course, with AI powered everything now, we have personalized nutrition. So इसमें आपका nutrition genomics आ जाएगा. There can be something like wearables, जैसे Whoop है, the Fitbit, the Aura Ring, जो भी wearable technology है, it can be a part of your AI or personalized nutrition as well. So there are so many things, and especially now with AI integration, it's going to expand more. Okay. I am not saying that nutritionists or dietitians will become obsolete. I don't see that happening because whenever we talk about healthcare, I think we forget that the human component, the human to human communication, that human to human empathy, and the behavioral part is the most integral part. Like, how many of us are going to be comfortable talking to an AI chatbot about our personal problems, about our relationship with foods, about, the chronic conditions that we might be having? Not everyone is comfortable talking to a machine, but somehow people love talking to other humans about their problems, be it they're not losing weight, or they might be going through, a chronic condition right now, or something is not fitting right in their diet right now. I think it's easier to talk with another human because they will understand. If you are talking to machine is not a sentient being. They are not going to understand your feelings, your emotions, the complexities of everything that you're feeling right now. So again, I know people are like, oh my God, AI is going to take over, take over. Okay, sure. But if you know how to work with AI and not compete with it, you are always going to be one step above AI. And I'm not just saying it as I हवे में बात करने के लिए, but I actually mean it, okay? The good part about pursuing a PhD is it's not only going to enhance your critical thinking abilities, which is disappearing by the day. Doom scrolling में brain cells hurt हो जा रहे हैं. So at least by continuing your education, it's going to help you be creative, have that critical thinking ability going on. The questioning and reasoning is going to be enhanced. So continuous learning is always the goal. Okay. And thankfully, if you do decide to do a PhD, in your journey, you will be taught how to write stuff. If you have to use Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude, any of these, like GPTs, for AI integration, you will be exactly taught, or you will learn, let's just say, you will learn in your PhD career what commands to give so that you are getting the results that you're expecting out of the chat box. So ऐसा है आज के टाइम में, because AI is free, people are misusing it more. So the thinking power is going down. While if you pursue a PhD, your thinking power, your reasoning, your questioning, it is still going to be intact. But now you have unlocked that skill of asking the right questions to the GPT so that it's giving intelligent answers and it's not making you dumb. I'm making it as blunt as it's possible, but that's the truth in today's time. You need to upskill. You are not competing with AI. You have to work along with AI if you have to be ahead in the game, that is. Okay. So think about all of these sub branches or like subtopics that you can focus on if you do intend to like study abroad, either for your master's or your PhD. This is not an exhaustive list. These are just like the main subtopics that you will find in colleges and universities here. There are so many more subtopics that you could focus on, you know. Again, epidemiology is missing here. There is something called health communication, which can be a part of the nutrition umbrella. You can do there is a nutrition startup, you know, like an entrepreneurial PhD you can do, that's going to teach you how to have your own nutrition startup. So the possibilities are many. You just need to ask yourself first कि आपको कहाँ focus करना है before even you decide with your advisor, with your university. You need to have that clear idea in your head. This is the route I need to go to. Okay. Besides that, it's not going to be any fruitful. Okay. So, my question to you again, if you could solve one nutrition problem right now, it can be current, it can be something that's happened in the past, if you had to just solve like one existing nutrition problem, say, what would it be? If you can put it in the chat box, that will be amazing. Again, like think कि अभी मेरे पास ये skills है, I have this knowledge, I have this degree. What is one nutrition problem that I can solve with everything that I already have right now? Abolishing food adulteration in India. I love that. Yes. It's been an ongoing issue. We've all watched with dairy, the adulteration, the spices. Nothing has been spared in today's time. So I appreciate that. Binge eating and food adulterations. I love that. Binge eating. Eating disorder. Yes, that's a big one. And not a lot of people are focusing on that. So I love that. Binge eating. Anyone else? Anemia. Love it. Like, this is one thing that's never going to go. Even in the US, when I work in my maternal and child clinic, most of the kids, especially from birth to 2 years of age, they have low iron levels because they keep drinking so much milk in the first 2 years of their life that their iron is usually affected. So that's a common finding across the globe. It's not just a problem in India. Food adulteration is the major concern. No, I absolutely agree. I do. And let me tell you, it's not just in India. I don't know if you all watch what's happening in the US. Everything has pesticides, everything has forever chemicals, everything has inflammatory increasing ingredients. Everything has to be like GMO stuff here. यहाँ पे हम fruits खरीदने जाते हैं, they are all seedless, you know, for whatever reason. So food adulteration, I want to say that it's not just a problem in India anymore. I think soon it's going to be like a global phenomenon at some point, especially with the climate change and how it's going to affect the way we grow our food. That's going to expedite the food adulteration problem. The food waste is high and the food production is simultaneously getting low because of the climate change. Iodine deficiency disorder. I love that. Okay, very nice. Thank you. Those were very different answers, and I love that. Everybody is focused on a completely different problem. Very nice. Okay, so the next part, how to choose the right university. And I will keep reminding you, it doesn't matter which university you go to. ठीक है? यहाँ पे कोई कंपटीशन नहीं हो रहा है कि हम आईआईटी से पास हुए हैं या हम एमआईटी से पास हुए हैं, हम मुंबई यूनिवर्सिटी के हैं या कहाँ के हैं. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you're graduating from, because ठीक है, people think oh my god, Harvard, Yale जाना है, Harvard जाना है, Cornell जाना है. Sure, those are amazing universities, but आज के time पे already where mainstream education is losing its value, I think the focus should be on upgrading your skill, hard skills, whether you can code, whether you can use different softwares to analyze big data, whether you can do your data analysis and communicate it written and orally in conferences. Can you rewrite your findings and publish a manuscript out of it? Those are the skills that are going to be valuable. वो जो नाम के पीछे लगने वाला है from so and so university will hold little to not much value in the near future. So your goal should be aligning your interest with the right fit program, okay? And not, oh, I'm only going to apply to Harvard. No, that's not how this works. You can apply to Harvard and then you will realize, okay, oh my God, this program is not the right fit for me. What are you going to do then? You wasted your time, you've wasted your money, you've wasted the years, and then you've understood that ये program मेरे लिए था ही नहीं. So that's not going to be useful. So it doesn't matter whether number one university ho, globally या कहीं पे भी. It doesn't mean that it's number one for you as well. Okay, you have to match your requirements with what program and which university or which advisor is out there who's going to help you be the best in the interest. Okay, so choose a place where you're going to thrive. Okay, like I keep saying, it's a big commitment. Choose a place that's going to help you grow and be a better researcher, a better teacher, a better educator, a better innovator. Okay, so you have to choose keeping those things in mind. Choose a place that aligns with your interest. Again, you are interested in diabetes and you are selecting a lab that's doing research on cancer. I don't see that aligning. If your interest is diabetes, find somebody who's already doing research in gestational diabetes or type 1, type 2, whatever you are interested in. If your interest is in iron deficiency anemia, then don't go and work for somebody who is doing something on PCOS. It's not aligning with your interest. अगर आप ऐसा लैब या ऐसा एडवाइजर चूज करते हो जिनका तालमेल आपके साथ या आपके रिसर्च इंटरेस्ट के साथ बैठ ही नहीं रहा है, what's going to happen? You're going to lose interest. You're going to lose motivation. You're going to lose your sanity. You're going to waste a lot of money and time. So the first thing you do is think whether that's a perfect and good alignment for you. Okay, and it's very important that you ask, will this program or will this advisor help me become a better researcher or a better lecturer or a better academic at this point? Those are the questions you need to be asking. Which university, which ये application कैसे करना है, वो सब, it will follow along. Once you have clarity on these three things, you can move ahead in your journey, at least with more clarity and confidence than you begin with. Okay, so that's the most important thing for you to first decide. So the second thing, of course, choosing the professor first, then the university. And again, you will make mistakes, so you better learn from them. I have made mistakes. That is why I'm reminding you again, learn from my mistakes rather than wasting time making your own. So I have this acronym here, mentor. M stands for match research interest. Like I keep saying, if your research interest is child nutrition, find somebody who's doing something on child nutrition. Their lab is conducting research, say, on childhood obesity. Their lab is publishing research on childhood obesity in reputed journals. That's a good match, not somebody who's doing something totally different, not related to child nutrition. E stands for evaluate your mentorship style. Again, like this is going to be so individualized, right? कभी कभार नहीं पता चलता है अभी I feel, oh, this advisor is a good match for me, but you landed in the USA, you start working with them, you take their lectures, and you're like, oh, Chad, this advisor is not for me. And that happens. That has happened to so many of us than you would realize. So, evaluating mentorship style is so important, right? If your mentor is a micromanager and you are somebody who likes working independently, वो ज़्यादा दिन नहीं टिकने वाला है. Okay, if you are somebody who likes structure, कि मेरे पास एक structure होना चाहिए, you need a mentor who's going to provide you that structure. A mentor who is completely hands off, जो आपको task दे दिया, अब आप figure out करो. I don't think you're going to be able to figure it out on your own. You need somebody who's going to hold your hand and at least take that first step with you. That is why it's so important to align whether your learning style and the teaching style of the mentor are aligning or not, if y'all are on the same wavelength or not. Third is N stands for the network and career support. Again, networking is so important right now, and I'm not talking about the cold messages or the same ratawa template that people are posting on LinkedIn and other social media platforms. That's not going to get you that admission. In fact, agar aap wohi same घिसा पिटा template use कर रहे हो to reach out to other people, chances are they are not going to ever respond to you, and after a while they are going to block you. Because the thing is, when you just paste blindly and adapt everything that other people are already doing, what is so unique about you? What is so unique about the way you are approaching or the way you are asking questions? अगर वो uniqueness ही नहीं है, वही रटा हुआ same template जो 100 जगह पे और कोई कर रहा है, if you're using the same thing, that's not going to help you network, or it's not going to further your career in any way. So stop doing that. Put in efforts. Padho research paper. Go to that advisor's resume. Go through their CV. Unke profile pe click karo. Read what they are doing, and then ask them questions. Maybe if they feel you are genuinely interested, you will get a response. But if you are going to cold message them, use the same template that's out there, some influencer posted it, and now you're using the template, that's not going to work. Okay, take the time to sit down, genuinely go through their research, genuinely read their research, and then ask smart questions. Chances are they will take you in their lab, and that's the goal. Third T is for tracking student outcomes, right? Whether you are able to get a job after that, right? At the end of the day, you want to have some skills and knowledge that you're going to put in the workforce. ऐसा नहीं है कि you've spent 4 years, money, time, efforts, and you are just going to go back to India. You want to get some work experience here for every minute, every effort that you put in, uska return, kuch to return on investment chahiye, right? So your outcomes will be defined by how many publishings you have, how many papers you've written, how many conferences were you invited to, did you land up with the job immediately or did you not? So networking, the tracking of outcomes, the aligning of interest, all of that is a very important step in this whole journey. O is for opportunities for funding and collaboration. Of course, like I said, yahan pe labs, if there is a nutrition lab, they will collaborate with health sciences people. They will collaborate with industries. Sometimes labs have connections with Nestle, Tropicana, other supplement companies. Yahan pe, they often collaborate. So when you collaborate or when you are with a lab who makes these collaborations, chances are कि तुमको तुरंत internship लग जाए. Internship में, if you do well, they will take you full time, once you graduate. So having that open mind and working towards that goal is what's going to be required out of you. And the last thing is research growth, right? आपका रिसर्च स्किल्स एनहांस हो रहा है या नहीं, दैट्स द गोल, नॉट कि मेरी यूनिवर्सिटी टॉप 100 में आती है या मेरी यूनिवर्सिटी टॉप 10 में आती है। अगर टॉप 10 यूनिवर्सिटी में एडमिशन मिलके भी आपकी ग्रोथ नहीं हो रही है, आप कुछ सीख नहीं पा रहे हो, या द प्रेशर इज सो मच बिकॉज एवरीबडी इज racing towards the same scholarship, the same opportunities, then you're going to be left behind. You know, don't go for ratings. You have to see if that lab or that program is a good match or an ideal match for you. Okay. Research labs and facilities, of course. The acronym is labs here. So, does the university have a nutrition research lab? If your goal is to study iron deficiency anemia, what are they doing? Are they doing any cell cultures? Are they testing it on animal models? Are there any interventions that are going on for iron deficiency anemia in that lab? These are the questions you need to be asking and researching and asking the advisor even before you decide कि बाबा ये advisor के साथ मुझे PhD करना है. Are articles being published? Are students contributing to papers? Are students contributing to researches and conferences? These are important questions that will decide which lab you're going to work with. Do students use modern technology and tools? So aaj ke time mein there are so many other softwares for data analysis. I was taught SAS, I was taught SPSS, I was taught NVivo to transcribe the qualitative interviews and things like that. So ye jo sari technology hai, how many students are using it? Who is teaching all of that? You know, those are important questions that you need to be asking before you decide. And then, of course, strong connections and collaborations. Is your advisor well known in the university? Does your advisor have other friends or co-workers in different industry, different organization that's going to help you build those connections and ultimately get that job after you graduate? These are some of the important questions you need to be asking yourself, okay? The third part is curriculum. The education system in India and education system here are poles apart. I have gotten 2 degrees from India, I've gotten 2 degrees from here, so I can confidently say you're going to be surprised, okay? And surprised in a good way. India mein there is so much emphasis on memorizing, right? Rattofying, कि रट्टा मारो और paper पे लिख के आओ, right? There are so many things, especially subjects like biochemistry, where the professor, मुझे तो at least India में biochemistry के time पे professor ने बोला था, there is no better way to teach all of the Krebs cycle and the acetyl CoA and all of that, you know, that was happening, glycolysis and all of that, you know, okay, you have to by heart it और तुमको paper पे लिख के आना है. But when I came here and I retook biochemistry, we had an open book exam. ठीक है, और ये सुन के मुझे लगा कि कोई मजाक कर रहा है मेरे साथ, because how can a PhD level class have an open book exam, right? मुझे लगा मजाक हो रहा है, this is my test going on, but नहीं, they give you questions, they give you the book, but that's going to be all the more difficult because तुम copy और paste नहीं कर सकते. How you can apply the same knowledge to answer the question is the real test. So that's the big contrast between the education system in India and here. यहाँ पे they don't want you to memorize. They want you to understand the concepts and then use your own head to apply the same theory into practical knowledge. So that's the good part. So the curriculum here is a blend of both, you know, theoretical knowledge bhi milega, hands-on practical learning experiential knowledge bhi aapko milega. So your job then is to like compare कि क्या courses hai. Like if you do decide to do a PhD in say sports nutrition, so what are the kind of classes that you can take? What are the prerequisites that you need to have? Are there any electives? The good part is यहाँ पे बहुत सारे subjects आप अपने मन से choose कर सकते हो. You will have a list of subjects and you can choose which subjects you want to study. So if you are, say, good in a particular thing, the chances are your GPA will go up because you're really good in that subject already. So electives can really be a game changer in deciding your GPA. And that's going to be very important because GPA ke hisab se they decide whether you are worthy of getting the assistantship or scholarship or not. So your curriculum can be a maker or breaker in your PhD or your master's journey. A is for aligning your goals with your interest, right? And then again, review flexibility. Can you choose the electives? Can you choose your specialization? Do you decide which research you want to join, which lab you want to join? Does your university or your program give you the flexibility कि मुझे ये lab अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है, can I go and work with this lab? A lot of universities and programs do have that flexibility. So these are some of the points you want to keep in mind. E is for exploring before you commit, right? Because every nutrition program in every university is going to be different. The names may be the same, but the curriculum, the coursework is going to be completely different. In fact, like there can be two people with the same goal who choose two different universities, right? Because एक का alignment ज़्यादा बेहतर है, दूसरे का किसी और चीज में बेहतर है. So it is not necessary कि even if two people are like नहीं मुझे तो PhD करना है तो दोनों will go to Cornell University. नहीं, एक शायद टेक्सास जाएगा, एक कॉर्नेल जाएगा, वैसा भी हो सकता है. So like don't do something just because the other person is doing it. Always research whether this is a good fit for your requirement and your goal. Okay. The next thing, funding, of course. This is the biggest question, and I think the biggest reason why we've all gathered in this class today. Money can be a big motivating and driving factor whether you go for masters or your PhD. Like I said, masters में guarantee नहीं है कि आपको funding मिलेगी. हाँ, if you perform well, if you keep your GPA strong, if you are a good A-listing student, you are constantly going above and beyond in your academics, the chances are you will get that funding or your scholarship. On the other hand, PhD, most of the time, they are fully funded, at least for the first 4 years of the program. Okay. So find the money, funds, FUND, find the money. Chances are कि immediately अगर आपको जाते ही scholarship नहीं मिल रही है, at least after the first semester or the second semester, your international student department will help you find the scholarship opportunities that you can apply to. So you will get the funding if you have done the mehnat, if you have done the efforts, you've put in your efforts, you've put in your time, you will get the money. Okay, you just have to be more proactive and you need to know who to contact when it comes to funding and scholarship. Most of the time, it's always going to be the financial aid office or the international student office. Okay. The U in fund stands for understanding your options, right? Because there is the teaching assistantships, there is the research assistantships, there is a fellowship. Fellowships can be temporary. Teaching assistant, research assistant थोड़ा ज़्यादा long term होता है कि at least for 2 years you can do a research assistantship, for 2 years you can do a teaching assistantship. Fellowship is mostly like dependent on how much funds the department has. Depending on that, you may get a fellowship for a year, for a semester, or things like that. So again, that is also a possibility. And of course, besides the university scholarship, there will be state level scholarships that you could apply to. I have got state funding in the past when I was doing my PhD here. So that is also an opportunity and you can definitely qualify for that. But for all of that, you have to keep in mind, you have to maintain your GPA. You can't be like, अच्छा मैं तो research student हूँ, अगर इसमें B grade आ गया तो चल जाएगा. No, if you get a B, your GPA is going to fall and you might not qualify for a lot of scholarships. So you have to maintain your GPA 4.0 आपको maintain करना है. You have to be a straight A student to get that continued scholarship. Again, that's only if money is a concern for you. If money is not a concern, then we are not even discussing any of that. So N, it stands for noticing the differences because like I said, MS में guarantee नहीं है कि funding मिले ना मिले. PhD में आपको जरूर funding मिल जाएगा. So that's the major difference. And then last is deciding based on value, because हम तो यही चाहते हैं कि अगर INR में हम USD में खर्च कर रहे हैं INR में कमा के, तो एटलीस्ट आफ्टर वी ग्रेजुएट कुछ तो रिटर्न ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट मिल जाए हमको, whether that's through a job, through an internship, through H-1B visas, or getting your work permit, or getting your immigration done. Any of these could be your way of saying कि okay, जितना टाइम एफर्ट पैसा मैंने डाला है मुझे उसका रिटर्न मिल चुका है मेरे 4 years के करियर में, और आफ्टर दैट so choose the value that your advisor or your program can bring into your life, rather than going for big names like Harvard. Let me tell you, a lot of times you will hear Harvard professors in malpractices. In fact, there was a professor जिनके 40 research paper retract हुए थे. He was a Harvard researcher, and the reason for retracting 40 research papers under his name was he falsified the information. He falsified information, he falsified the data, and he kept publishing until recently, jab wo bahar aaya that he had fabricated all of the data, and that was the reason they had to remove 40 research papers on his name. So we think Howard is like the gold standard when it comes to research or anything, but it's not. जितनी दूर से we see the grass is green on that side, when you go closer you will see the grass is green where you water it. Okay, Harvard में जाने का मतलब ये नहीं है, it's not a validation on your intelligence. Okay, some people get that hype and high, I understand that, oh, I graduated from a Harvard, but utna hi value is going to be into, oh, I graduated from California, I graduated from Texas University. What you bring to the table, the skills, the knowledge, everything else is going to matter, not where you graduated from ultimately. So clinical and internship opportunities. So where are you going to complete your rotation? For example, agar aapko RD, registered dietitian बनना है, तो आप कहाँ अपनी रोटेशंस कंप्लीट करेंगे? आपकी यूनिवर्सिटी और कोई हॉस्पिटल में कोलैबोरेशन या टाई अप है क्या? That's going to make your life easier. How much of real world practice will you get, right? Like if you work in a clinic or a hospital, you're going to get hands-on in dealing with real-time patients, and you want that because that's going to be helpful in finding the full-time job later on. Whether your lab is going to provide you an internship opportunity, whether that's merit based, yeah, it's going to be guaranteed that you're going to get an internship. Those are again two different things, so you have to think about that. Program partnership, who does the program work with? There are so many Indian institutes, academic institutes, who have a tie-up with universities in the US. I know Tata Research Institute and Cornell has had a working relationship for a lot of years. Jindal School of Management and University of Texas, Dallas have a working collaboration for so many years. So there are so many like crossover between India, USA, some other country. And if you can get a part, a chance to like work for labs like that, grab it. That's going to really help you in the long term, build that connections and get you that opportunity. Patient and community contact. Will you be working with real people? Again, like you have to have that hands-on practice. Agar aap dietitian banna chahte ho, agar aap hospital mein kaam karna chahte ho, if clinic is where you see yourself after your master's or your PhD, you need to have that real life working experience, working with real patients in real time. Okay. And career outcomes. Again, after graduating, where are the students going? So even before you decide कि मुझे ये यूनिवर्सिटी में जाना है, आपको थोड़ा सा रिसर्च का पहले ही करना पड़ेगा कि जो जो पहले ईयर में पास आउट हुए हैं वो आज के डेट में which organizations are they working at? It's very important, those questions. You can in fact get in touch with the advisor that you may want to work with and ask these questions. They are mostly very helpful, very approachable, and they would want to help you out. And I would say like location, it really matters. Now, when I talk about location, I mean, if you decide to come to the USA, which university you want to apply to, wahan ka location matter karega. And I'm going to tell you why. So in the beginning of the presentation, I told you I was born and raised in Mumbai, right? And when I came to the US, I was in Nebraska. Okay, Nebraska is like midwest में है, ठीक है? It's not on the east coast, it's not on the west coast, it's right in the middle of the US map. And मैं जब उतरी नेब्रास्का के एयरपोर्ट पे, इट वाज 8 p.m. ओके, ऐसा भी नहीं है कि बहुत रात हो चुकी है, मैं 8 बजे लैंड हुई हूँ वहां के एयरपोर्ट पे, और मुझे एक टैक्सी दिखाई दे रही है आउटसाइड द एयरपोर्ट. तो मैं सोचू कि ये कौन सा यूएस है, बिकॉज कम ऑन, व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट यूएस पीपल शो सैन फ्रांसिस्को या न्यूयॉर्क. ये मिडवेस्ट जो है वो किसी को पता ही नहीं है कैसा दिखता है. So I started doubting myself. I'm like, wait a minute, where are the people? Kahan hai log? Why are there no people on the street at 8 p.m.? So these can be some cultural shocks that you will get. So location really matters. Do you see yourself in a big city like New York or San Francisco or Chicago? Or do you see yourself in a small city, maybe like Dallas, or maybe like Austin, or maybe, like other small city or towns? कहाँ आपको, आप सोच सकते हो कि मैं ये एनवायरनमेंट में कंफर्टेबल रहूंगा या रहूंगी, will be a big deciding factor. For example, if you choose like a big metropolitan city, जैसे हम अपने इंडिया में मुंबई, दिल्ली, चेन्नई, ये सारे जो cities है, वैसे यहाँ पे if you come and say कि मुझे शिकागो जाना है, I want to be in Seattle, I want to be in Virginia or something like that. So that's going to matter because urban cities, बड़े cities में अगर आप जाओगे तो वहां पे ज्यादा hospitals है, वहां ज्यादा health care की access है. Versus अगर आप छोटे से town में जाते हो तो वहां पे छोटे से clinics, छोटे से hospital रहेंगे, और because there is only limited options, every student who's graduating from there is going there. तो fewer options रह जाते हैं, and that is not something that you want. So that will go into deciding whether you want to be in a big city or a small town. Networking opportunities, of course, if you are in a big city, तो more professional events रहते हैं. You will get more opportunities to connect professionally or with industry people. But if you are in a small town, you might not have those big opportunities, but तुमको chances मिलेंगे कि you get close mentorship and you can build that one-on-one one connections with your co-workers or with your other advisors. Internship opportunities, again, if you're in a big metropolitan city, there are going to be more opportunities versus if you're in a small town, it's going to be limited to your campus or your local partnerships. The cost, yes, this is a big deciding factor because if you're in a big metropolitan city, your living expense is going to be exponentially high. You have to remember you are buying everything in USD. वो conversion mentally चलता ही रहेगा कि oh my god, मैं $15 की पानी पूरी खाने वाली हूँ अभी. वो conversion, it never stops in your head. So that's going to be a big deciding factor for you. If you do decide to be in a big city, it's going to be more expensive versus if you decide to be in a small town, a college town, it's going to be more affordable. Okay. And then the environment, of course. If you are in a big metro city, it's going to be fast paced. There's going to be people from so many different ethnicities, so many different cultures, so many different countries. Versus if you are in a small town, it's going to be more like Caucasian versus Hispanic population, or things like that. It's going to be limited. So the location is going to be important. Ask yourself, am I a big city person, or do I like the peace and the close-knit community? That's going to help you decide whether you want to go in an urban university setting or a small college town. Okay, so think about that. So this is a very quick university decision-making checklist. Research, does the faculty research match your interest? Are there strong labs and collaboration opportunities? Is the curriculum going to allow you to have that flexibility to choose what you want to study? Can you realistically afford this degree? PhD versus master's. Again, keep that in mind. Are you going to gain enough like clinical hands-on real patient experience or not? Are you going to be living there for the next few years? Are you going to enjoy living in a small town versus a big city? These are the questions you need to ask yourself. And of course, the outcomes, that people who graduate from so and so university, what are the careers? Where are they working right now? वो statistics आपको encourage करेगा whether you should be applying to that lab, that advisor or not. Okay. What would be your number one deciding factor when choosing a university? So now that you know about all of these factors, what according to you for yourself will be the number one deciding factor when you have to choose a university? जल्दी जल्दी chat में डाल दो. Anyone? Where exactly you fit? Yes, yes. Alignment between your research interest and the advisor that you'll be choosing. Very nice. That's good to know. That should always be the focus and priority. What else? Anyone else? Placements? Yes. The outcomes kya hai? If I graduate from this lab or this university, what my future is going to look like? Will I be working here? Will I be working in academia versus industry? Yes, that could be another deciding factor. Anyone else? Not, I'm going to move along. Thank you. All right, so how to build a competitive profile. I know you guys might have a lot of questions, so hang in there. We are going to touch a little base on each of these points. Of course, how do you make your application stand out? You have to have a good GPA. अगर आप अभी फिलहाल bachelor's किए हो, या if you have your master's, if your GPA is good, if you have a strong record that you're a strong student, you're academically inclined and you are a good student, then that's going to matter into how you are going to position yourself uniquely in the application that you send. So your GPA does matter. Research experience. अगर फिलहाल आपके पास कोई research experience है already, if you're currently working in research, if you are presenting research in different conferences, in different webinars, in different whatever platforms, that's going to add a feather in that hat, and publications या presentations. Now again, it's not necessary कि आपने 10-12 publication किए हो, but they like to see कि थोड़ा बहुत research experience है आपके पास. ठीक है? So they would want to and they would love to see what kind of research experience you are bringing to them, right? There has to be some start point. So अगर आपके पास time है अभी, and if you can work on a manuscript, if you can work for research right now, that's going to strengthen your profile. Statement of purpose. This is one important piece of your overall application package. SOP लिखना आज के टाइम में, please don't use chat GPT. ठीक है? I am going to tell you, सारे chat GPT ने जो SOP लिखे हैं वो सारे एक जैसे ही verbatim आपको दिखाई देगा. Start by aligning your thoughts, कि मुझे कैसे, like what is driving me to even take this time to apply for a PhD or master's. आपको वो वहां से start करना है. You have to narrate your own story. You can't depend on AI to write the story for you. You have to share your lived experience. You have to share what's motivating you and why are you curious in researching on this topic. If at this point you cannot type an essay or an SOP on your own, I am sorry, but that's not going to help you finish your master's or your PhD in the USA. मैं तुमको बताती हूँ, यहाँ पे इवन इफ यू प्लेजराइज मोर देन 5%, तुम्हारे पूरे डॉक्यूमेंट में तुमको एफ ग्रेड मिल सकता है, एंड यू विल बी एकेडमिकली डिसिप्लिन्ड, तुमको राइट अप मिलेगा प्लेजरिज्म के आरोप में. सो यहाँ पे दे टेक ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स वेरी सीरियसली. प्लेजरिज्म, academically having good conduct, good student conduct, that's something they take very seriously. Not using AI for everything. There are softwares that universities here use where they can get to know whether this was AI written or human written. तो अगर आप AI यूज कर रहे हो ये SOP बनाने के लिए, आपका एप्लीकेशन बिफोर इवन दे कम टू रीडिंग इट, इट्स गोइंग टू बी रिजेक्टेड. So take some time, take help of somebody. If you think like English is not your strength, writing is not your strength, take help from another human rather than taking help from AI. Okay, that's going to be my suggestion. Oops. Oh, no, 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 no. What happened? Uh-oh. Sorry, I don't know what happened. Give me one moment. Right. So we were here. So following that, you need letter of recommendation. Letter of recommendation आप किन से मांगते हो, that's going to be very important. You can't just go around asking recommendation from anyone just because they know you and they are going to write nice things about you. That doesn't matter. Are you getting a recommendation from a professor who has taught you? Are you getting a recommendation from a boss who is supervising you? Are you getting a recommendation from somebody who has seen your work ethics, your working style, the kind of skills and knowledge that you bring? These are the people who can write a recommendation from you, not somebody you have worked for like a month. They have to at least have known you for a few years to be able to recommend you to a particular lab or a position. Okay, so don't just ask like a letter of recommendations from anyone. Make it at least वजन पड़ना चाहिए is what I'm trying to say. And just because they know you, please आप मुझे recommendation दे दो, नहीं, वो नहीं चलेगा. They have to exactly tell you आप में क्या ऐसी खूबी है that makes you a perfect fit for the PhD program. Okay, so think about who you can ask for recommendation letters from. Of course, if you don't have an updated resume, again, this is something you can ask ChatGPT or other like AI platforms to redesign for you, क्योंकि आपका resume या आपका CV एकदम unique होगा दूसरे से. So इसमें ऐसा कोई template नहीं है that's going to make it apart. But yes, if you don't have an updated resume right now, please update it and make it relevant. ठीक है, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि आप अप्लाई कर रहे हो रिसर्च के लिए बट आपके रेज्यूमे में कुछ भी नहीं है जो बता रहा है कि आपको रिसर्च का आर भी पता है. ठीक है, सो कीप दैट इन माइंड व्हेन यू आर अपडेटिंग एंड रीराइटिंग योर रेज्यूमे. वर्क एक्सपीरियंस, अगर आप अभी काम कर रहे हो नहीं कर रहे हो, इट डजंट मैटर. इफ यू हैव worked somewhere and if it's aligning with what you're applying for, अगर हेल्थ केयर में काम किया हुआ है, टीचिंग किया हुआ है, रिसर्च किया हुआ है, if you worked at a clinic, hospital, internship, anything that's relevant to your major, you can apply and you can, in fact, you should be writing under work experience. They want to see कि आपके पास already वो soft skills है what it takes to be a healthcare provider. So if you have any of the work experience, doesn't matter if it's in India, work experience होता है, ठीक है. So if you have any relevant clinical or healthcare experiences, please update your resume and put that on it. Okay, and lastly, again, especially if you are applying for a PhD program, you need to start by contacting and identifying professors first. You have to select your advisor first before you select the university. ठीक है, कैसे करना है ये मैं आपको एक डेमो देती हूँ बाद में. ठीक है, just hang in there. Okay, so I don't know if you guys know, but there are 3 different intakes in the USA. ठीक है, पहला होता है fall, जो कि अब आएगा, ठीक है. एंड दिस इज लाइक द मेन इनटेक. द एप्लीकेशन स्टार्ट्स अगस्त टू दिसंबर. So say for example you want to apply for fall 2027. तो अभी 2026 अगस्त से ही आप प्रिपरेशन वगैरह चालू कर दोगे, बिकॉज डेडलाइन दिसंबर तक ही होती है नेक्स्ट ईयर के फॉल के लिए. So you can't wait till the very end to start applying for your masters or your PhD. ठीक है. अगर आपको क्वालिफाई होना है स्कॉलरशिप्स, असिस्टेंटशिप्स, कोई भी जात का फाइनेंशियल एड और फंडिंग के लिए, you have to apply way in advance. Okay. So if your target is next fall of 2027, which means आपका करिकुलम या आपका प्रोग्राम स्टार्ट होगा सितंबर ऑफ 2027, अगर वो आपका टारगेट है तो आपको अभी से एप्लीकेशन की तैयारी करनी होगी. Okay, so fall is the main kind of intake and it is best for most of the programs, especially for PhD programs, क्योंकि जो मेन फंडिंग अलॉट किया जाता है स्टूडेंट्स को, जो स्कॉलरशिप्स मिलती है, सारे डिपार्टमेंट्स फॉल में सारे स्कॉलरशिप्स दे देते हैं. सो स्प्रिंग में बहुत कम अपॉर्चुनिटीज रह जाती है फंडिंग या स्कॉलरशिप के लिए. So if you are specifically relying for external funding opportunities, go for fall and not for spring, is what I'm going to tell you. Okay. Again, you can decide what's right for you, but this is from my own personal experience. If you are looking for financial aid, apply for fall intake. There is the spring intake. Spring matlab January. January में start होता है वो प्रोग्राम. तो अगर आप जनवरी के इनटेक के लिए अप्लाई करना चाहते हो तो मई से अक्टूबर इज व्हेन यू हैव टू already do your application and all of that. ठीक है. So students who miss fall deadlines or who want a second chance, you can always go for the spring intake. But like I said, spring intake में funding की opportunities कम हो जाते हैं और guarantee नहीं होती है कि funding मिलने वाली है. फॉल में एटलीस्ट देयर आर सो मेनी फंड्स एंड अपॉर्चुनिटीज आउट देयर कि आपको कुछ ना कुछ तो मिल ही जाएगा. ठीक है. समर तो छोड़ो ही, दैट्स ओनली फॉर लाइक इफ इट्स अ स्मॉल सर्टिफिकेशन कोर्स या शॉर्ट टर्म 6 महीने के कोई कोर्सेज है या ऐसा कुछ है, वर्चुअल है, उसके लिए समर ठीक है. बाकी इफ यू आर गोइंग फॉर अ फुल टाइम मास्टर्स और पीएचडी प्रोग्राम, गो फॉर फॉल इनटेक. और फॉल में नहीं हो पाया आपका, एंड इफ मनी इज नॉट अ कंसर्न फॉर यू, देन यू कैन गो फॉर अ स्प्रिंग इनटेक. Okay. So your application timeline, what it's going to look like. एंड तक राह नहीं देखनी है एप्लीकेशन की प्रिपरेशन करने के लिए. एटलीस्ट जो आपका ईयर है, सपोज आपको चाहिए कि मैं 27 सितंबर में मैं वहां होनी चाहिए यूएस में विथ माय फॉर माय मास्टर्स और फॉर माय पीएचडी, तो आपको अभी तक तो आधा एप्लीकेशन की तैयारी कर लेनी चाहिए होगी. You have to start at least a year or maybe a year and a half in advance. You have to build your profile. ठीक है. बिल्डिंग प्रोफाइल मीन्स अगर आपके पास इंटर्नशिप नहीं है, वर्क एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है, तो क्या आप कुछ वर्क एक्सपीरियंस जमा कर सकते हैं? क्या आप रिसर्च एक्सपीरियंस को जमा कर सकते हैं? अगर आपके पास पब्लिकेशन नहीं है, क्या 6 महीने में आप एक पेपर सबमिट करके पब्लिशिंग निकाल सकते हैं? Like that's how you start building your profile and thinking in those lines. So between 10 to 12 months, a year in advance almost, you have to start exploring and getting in touch, actively speaking to the advisor or the lab you want to work with. Okay, again, I'm going to show you how you can search for advisors. Okay. Now, at least 8 months in advance, you have to prepare your all the applications. So your mark sheets, your statement of SOP, your letter of recommendations, all of that need to be already bundled and ready to be submitted at least 8 to 10 months in advance. So timeline आप देख रहे हो, you may think I have a lot of time, but no, time यूं चला जाता है. आपको टोफेल की भी तैयारी करनी है. आपको टोफेल की सिर्फ तैयारी नहीं करनी है, आपको देनी है और आपको मार्क्स सबमिट कर देने हैं बिफोर द डेडलाइन. If you don't submit those marks, they are not going to entertain your application. So one thing is dependent on the other. So have at least 15 to 18 months for yourself to finish all of these in stepwise. Rush करना है तो वो नहीं होने वाला. The quality will be gone. So give enough time to yourself so that you can prepare all of these in advance. Okay, at least before 6 to 8 months you have to start submitting applications. हर एक एप्लीकेशन का $75 to $100 सिर्फ एप्लीकेशन फीस जाता है. ठीक है, सो इट्स अ बिग फाइनेंशियल कमिटमेंट. हमको लगता है $100, बट इट्स लिटरली ₹9,500 in today's time that you are going to spend in just one application. ठीक है, और अगर आप मास्टर्स या पीएचडी के लिए अप्लाई कर रहे हो, आप सिर्फ एक यूनिवर्सिटी में तो अप्लाई करने नहीं वाले हो. यू आर एटलीस्ट गोइंग टू अप्लाई anywhere between 6 to 10 universities. So 6 to 10 into that 75 or $100 fee, application fee that you'll be filling out for each of that application. You have to consider all of these cost. ठीक है, TOEFL भी is not it's not cheap. I think उस time पे I had paid 25,000 rupees just to give my TOEFL and 25,000 rupees to give my GRE. ठीक है, आज के time में I don't know how much it's increased, but TOEFL तो आपको देनी ही है. GRE अभी compulsion नहीं रहा है, so that's a good thing. But TOEFL तो आपको देनी ही है, so you have to also consider that. Okay. Then at least 3 to 6 months you have to spend time कि चलो 10 यूनिवर्सिटी में अप्लाई किया है, अब मुझे एटलीस्ट 4 में से मुझे एडमिशन आया है, तो उन 4 में से आप किसके साथ लास्ट में जाते हो वो आपको क्लैरिटी होनी चाहिए एटलीस्ट 3 to 6 months in advance, so that you can make up your mind, you can start asking for the I-20, start preparing for the visa and things like that. So that's the timeline, that's a realistic timeline. At least 2 to 3 months in advance, you have to finalize your plan. Are you going with this university? Is it offering you some scholarship? If it's not offering you scholarship, are you ready to pay everything out of pocket? What kind of documents? If you're applying for loan, do you have the loan documents? ये सारे documentation and all of that, you need time. And at least 3 महीने आपको खुद को देने हैं कि आपको सारा जो requirement है आप fulfill कर पाते हो. 1 to 2 months in advance, you have the visa and travel date, and then you finally begin your journey. So give yourself enough time, okay? And I have compiled a list of universities with nutrition specializations in the USA. Now, again, this is not an exhaustive list, okay? There may be like 200 universities in the US who's giving or offering bachelor's, master's, certification, PhD, something in nutrition. But मैंने क्या किया है, the nutrition umbrella that we spoke about, I have tried to like bifurcate all the universities according to the aspirational. मतलब एकदम 8-year universities है ये, जिनका acceptance rate भी 30% जितना है या 40% जितना है. Those are the kind of universities that will go into aspirational. Then you will have a target university जहां पे आपको लगता है कि ठीक है, अगर A में नहीं तो एटलीस्ट इसमें तो मेरा हो ही जाएगा. That's going to be the target university. And safe मतलब ये जो safe universities का जो list आप देखोगे, those are the universities जिसमें sure shot आपका admission हो ही जाना है. क्योंकि ये सारी जो यूनिवर्सिटीज है, दे आर नॉट एज कंपेटिटिव एज द एस्पिरेशनल वंस. अगर एस्पिरेशनल यूनिवर्सिटीज जैसे टफ्स है या बॉस्टन है, उनका अगर एक्सेप्टेंस रेट लाइक 25 या 30% है, तो सेफ यूनिवर्सिटीज का एक्सेप्टेंस रेट इज गोइंग टू बी इन द 80s और द 90%. ठीक है, तो आपको क्या करना है, अकॉर्डिंग टू द मेजर और अकॉर्डिंग टू द रिसर्च दैट यू वांट टू अप्लाई टू, यू हैव टू सिलेक्ट the top tier university, the mid range university and a safe university. ठीक है, और फिर आपको सोचना है कि ठीक है, मेरे ग्रेड इतने हैं, मेरे पास वर्क एक्सपीरियंस इतने हैं, क्या मुझे टफ्स में मिल सकता है तो ग्रेट, आई लाइक द कॉन्फिडेंस. बट एट द सेम टाइम टफ्स में अगर आप अप्लाई कर रहे हो तो इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि आप आयोवा में नहीं अप्लाई करोगे, क्योंकि अगर टफ्स में आपका नहीं होता है तो एटलीस्ट आयोवा में श्योर शॉट आपका हो जाएगा. That is why you need to have a mix of top tier universities, mid-range universities, and safe universities also. Safe universities are your safety net कि कहीं नहीं हुआ तो एटलीस्ट ये यूनिवर्सिटी में तो हो ही जाएगा मेरा. ठीक है, so I have made that list for clinical nutrition and dietetics. There is a separate list for nutritional biochemistry. If you are really interested in molecular or biochem nutrition, then your aspirational are going to be Cornell or the University of Wisconsin in Madison or the University of Michigan. ये सारों की acceptance rate are very like low. Okay, so it's very competitive to get into the aspirational universities. The target universities are mid range, so आपका अगर प्रोफाइल ओवरऑल अच्छा है तो शायद हो जाएगा उसमें, और अगर ये दोनों में नहीं होता है तो सेफ यूनिवर्सिटी में तो श्योर शॉट हो जाएगा. Okay, so you have to keep that in mind and then decide which universities are going to be your aspirational, your target, and your safe. These are just example. By no means I'm saying that you are only going to apply to these universities. आपको अपना रिसर्च खुद करना है. मेरे रिसर्च के हिसाब से और जो 11 साल मैंने यहाँ पे बिताए हैं उसके हिसाब से ये टीयर्स मैंने हर एक स्पेशलाइजेशन को अलॉट किए गए हैं. ठीक है, पब्लिक हेल्थ अगर आप करना चाहते हो तो जॉन्स हॉपकिन इज हैंड्स डाउन वन ऑफ द बेस्ट schools for that, followed by Harvard. Then there's the University of Washington. Again, very competitive universities. Emory is in Atlanta, Georgia, and University of Michigan. These are going to be your mid-tier universities. और अगर आप पब्लिक हेल्थ जाना चाहते हो तो जॉर्ज मेसन, अगेन दिस इज इन वर्जीनिया एंड दिस इज साउथ कैरोलिना. Those are going to be your sure shot कि मेरा अगर पब्लिक हेल्थ में कहीं नहीं हो रहा है तो ये दोनों में तो हो ही जाएगा. ठीक है, so again you have to do your own research and according to your research interest you have to decide which is the aspirational, what's the target, and what's the safe university for you. ठीक है, there is one more. Of course, if you are into food science or you want to go into the flavor industry or the nutrition industry, the supplement industry, University of California, Davis, the Cornell, and Purdue, these are amazing top tier universities for that, followed by mid, and the safe is going to be Iowa and Oregon State University. Okay, so again, decide which one is it going to be for you. You don't have to follow my list. These are just examples. Okay, now this is an interesting question for you. So imagine that you got two admits. Which one would you choose? You have an admission from University A, which is a top ranked, expensive university, but your research interest and the university research interest is not a great fit. Or would you choose University B, जो बहुत top ranked नहीं है, it's lower ranked, but you are getting a fully funded degree and it's a perfect match between your research interest and the faculty research interest. So which are you going to choose? Or the third option is that you need more information. So फटाफट से chat में डाल दीजिए. If you have admission from these two scenarios, which one are you going to use? B, okay. Very nice. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, Meghna. All right. So the future of nutrition careers, challenges and opportunities. Okay. AI. That's a big challenge. That's a big topic. Everybody wants to talk about AI. Everybody wants to use AI, whether it's needed or not. At this point, it's like people are using AI to write emails, which is beyond my comprehension. Come on. 30 years of our lives, we have written emails without AI. What's wrong now? But that's a conversation for another day. So, of course, आज के challenge में AI is changing healthcare, yes. But like I mentioned before, it's not eliminating or it's not obviating our need. They still need real human healthcare workers, professionals, dietitians, चीजें अपने आप कैलकुलेट नहीं हो जाने वाली है. People will still need somebody in NICU, ICU, in special hospital environments. You need that human touch. So they are not going to be completely eliminated, at least is what I'm thinking. Okay. So in reality, in today's time, AI is already being used for data, right? Data collection के लिए AI use हो रहा है, data analysis के लिए भी AI use हो रहा है, पैटर्न रिकग्निशन के लिए एआई यूज हो रहा है, एफिशिएंसी तो बढ़ा ही रहा है, यस, एंड रिसर्च के आउटकम्स इंप्रूव कर रहा है एआई, यस. द चैलेंज इज, again, how are you going to work hand in hand with AI, not compete with AI? Work with AI to enhance your research, to enhance your skills, to enhance your comprehensibility in analyzing the data. So you still need to be an expert in providing that emotional intelligence, that connection, that human to human connection. You will still need a nutrition professional, a researcher, or a dietitian for that clinical judgment. Behavior changes. Behavior changes is not something that AI is going to be able to do because, like I said, machine is not a sentient being. Humans are sentient beings, you know? So साइंस कम्युनिकेशन, अगेन आप एआई से स्क्रिप्ट लिखवा सकते हो, आपको बोलना, समझ के बोलना, प्रेजेंट करना, वो आपको करना है, राइट? So as nutrition experts, you still have to have all of these skills intact. Then you can work with AI to bring that opportunity back into your life. So you are going to combine your existing nutrition science skills plus AI plus the human connection and expertise that you bring. So your future skills will look like interpreting complex health data or designing an evidence-based intervention और अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि मशीन सिर्फ इतना ही कर सकता है, रेस्ट ऑफ इट द ह्यूमन इंटेलिजेंस स्टिल नीड टू डू. And communicating science to people think it's easy, but sometimes communicating science in the most simplest sense can be the most complex thing you will end up doing in your PhD career. Okay, science समझना पहले और फिर जो नॉन साइंस लोग हैं उनको समझाना, those are two very separate skill sets that every scientist should possess, but unfortunately they don't because they are not trained on it, right? Script कमांड डाला, एआई ने स्क्रिप्ट दिया, आपने स्क्रिप्ट पढ़ लिया. That's not what it's supposed to be doing. Okay, so this is definitely going to be healthcare, a challenge that AI is very much present in healthcare sector. But again, how you're going to use it, not compete, but work with AI to enhance your research skills and your dissertation. That's going to be the success of everything that you learn throughout your journey. Okay. The second challenge is nutrition is becoming more personalized. Yes, it is. Abhi, with nutrigenomics, with precision nutrition, with the gene therapy and things like that, right? There is so much talk about gut microbiome and microbiome research. We now know that 70% of serotonin is produced in the gut. We didn't know about that. We thought it's all in the head. So जितना research हो रहा है आज के टाइम में, उससे ज्यादा हमको फाइंडिंग्स पता चल रही है. We, for the first time, we are understanding, we as women are understanding our bodies better. Because so far, women were always excluded from clinical trials, right? Because of our hormones, because of pregnancy and things like that. So आज तक women के लिए जितने भी guidelines थे, those were based off male findings. Females पे सिर्फ apply किए गए हैं. They never researched our bodies. Now finally, with AI and research enhancement, we are finally getting to know menstruation better. We are finally getting to know hormonal health better. So technology is here to stay. So you might as well understand and learn how to work with technology and not against it. Okay, so the opportunity is going to be exploring combination like nutrition and genetics, nutrition and data science. Can you code? Can you write a simple code to analyze the diet of geriatric population, to analyze the diet of somebody with undergoing an oncology treatment or things like that? Can you do nutrition with biomedical research? Can you do nutrition with digital health? Abhi wearable technology itni zyada ho gayi hai that if your expertise lie in analyzing all of those graphs and the health data, that's something you can combine with nutrition. So that's something you should be starting to think and focus on, because like I said, technology is here to stay. How are you going to work with technology is the question. So the job market rewards skills, not the degrees alone. Just day before, I spoke to a friend who went to Harvard for her Juris Doctorate. Okay, and when I graduated from 2024 with my PhD, I struggled for 375 days to get the job that I'm at right now. एक पूरा साल यूएस में जॉबलेस होना after you have bachelor's, 2 masters and a PhD is scary. Okay. Like everyone, I thought, oh, once I have my PhD, meri life set hai. I'm gonna get a job right like that. But with the changing geopolitical scenario, with the changing government administration, with the changing AI rules and things like that, I was shocked when I couldn't find one job for a whole year. I started having self doubts. I started questioning everything that I had done. The whole 11 years of my journey in the US, I started questioning everything. And ye hakikat hai. This was my experience. I'm not saying this is going to be your experience as well. But I just like being honest and transparent so that you know your options better. Okay. So the reality is that the employers are not looking at whether you have your degree from Harvard or Yale. They are looking at, okay, can this person think for herself or himself? Can this person write a freaking paper without using AI? Can this person simplify and communicate the most basic science concept to me in a layman term? These are the kind of skills they are looking at, not like, oh, wow, she graduated from Harvard. Here's the job. That's not how it works in real life settings. So in reality, employers look for research ability, your way of communicating science to layman, your data literacy, your clinical experience, your problem solving skills. These are what decides whether you're good enough for a job or not. So the challenge is, just like many students, I as well thought, oh, once I graduate with my PhD, meri life set hai, job to yu mil jayegi. That bubble was burst in 2024, okay? Because none of that happened. And again, in today's market, when there are 30,000 layoffs at once from an organization, there are literally 6,000 people, 10,000 people competing for that one job. तो आपको 100 लोगों से नहीं, आपको 10,000 लोगों के साथ competition करना है. What's that going to take? That's going to take you doing or being the best in your field, you having enough publications, you making that networking and collaboration opportunities, you having that internship so that आपको internship में ही full time फिर मिल जाए और आपको job ढूंढने की problems ना होनी पड़े. So like there are so many things that will decide in whether you get a job right away or it's going to take some time. I am not telling you that it's going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it if you hang in there. Okay. Studying abroad has changed since the time I came here. Okay, it's getting more and more difficult with changing rules and laws in every country, with immigration policies being difficult and those additional complexity layers being added. It's challenging, but I am saying it's worth it. It's not impossible. If you're a good student, if you have that work experience, if you have all the supporting evidence to show you are a good student, people need you there. Universities need international talent and students, be it US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Canada. आज भी लोग उतने ही ये सारे countries में जा रहे हैं despite the ongoing challenges with immigration. So don't believe everything that you read on the news. I am a real person and I'm telling you, it's still happening. Everything is still okay. You will still get your visas and everything if your profile is good, your application is strong enough, and you've done the hard work, it's going to work out. Okay. So don't listen to everything that you read on social media. Okay. So I'm going to show you this. Okay. Abhi, how do you go and search for a lab or a program that's going to align with your research interest? अभी ये एग्जाम्पल के तौर पे आई एम ऑन द रटगर्स यूनिवर्सिटी वेबसाइट. ठीक है, आई लिव इन न्यू जर्सी. आई टोल्ड यू रटगर्स के सामने बिल्कुल मेरा घर है. That is why I'm choosing Rutgers. And the second thing is, Rutgers has a very big health science / nursing and nutrition program. It is actually in the top 25 or 30 in the USA. Okay, that is why I'm using Rutgers as an example. तो कोई भी आपकी यूनिवर्सिटी हो या आपको कोई भी जहाँ पे जाना हो, आप उसकी वेबसाइट टाइप कर लीजिए. You will be getting into their the welcome page. You will go to the academics. ठीक है, हर एक यूनिवर्सिटी का ये टैब कॉमन ही रहेगा. एकेडमिक्स में जाओगे, आप ग्रेजुएट स्टडीज में जाओगे और आप देखोगे कि कौन से ग्रेजुएट प्रोग्राम्स हैं उनके पास. ठीक है, सो यहाँ पे अल्फाबेटिकली दे हैव ऑल द मेजर्स. ठीक है, अभी न्यूट्रिशन है तो मैं एन में जाऊंगी. एन में जाते ही आई सी ओके देयर इज न्यूरोसाइंस, देयर इज नर्सिंग एंड हियर वी गो, देयर इज न्यूट्रिशन साइंस. अब न्यूट्रिशन साइंस में कितने ऑप्शंस हैं इनके पास ये देखो. ठीक है, दिस इज द कैंपस नेम, न्यू ब्रंसविक इज द सिटी. ओके, सो दिस इज द कैंपस नेम. यहाँ पे मास्टर्स है, यहाँ पे मास्टर्स है, देयर इज अ PhD ऑल्सो. Okay, so say for example, I want to see what the PhD requirements are. So I
Miteshri,
will, yes.
sorry to interrupt you. Your screen is not visible, so.
Oh, okay. So sorry. Okay, give me one moment. Oh, there we go. Is that visible now?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, so this is the Rutgers University welcome page that I was talking about. Okay, you go to academics and you go to the graduate programs, like I was saying. अब हर यूनिवर्सिटी का थोड़ा अलग लेआउट होगा, पर ये सारे टॉपिक्स सिमिलर ही होंगे. और अगर कुछ भी नहीं सूझा ना, तो यहाँ पे जाके आप सर्च में कुछ भी डाल दीजिए जो भी आपको चाहिए, एंड इट विल पॉप अप. इट विल स्टिल फिल्टर आउट द रिजल्ट्स फॉर यू. ठीक है, like I was saying, we were looking at the nutrition program. So I go to N and I start looking at the nutrition science programs. Okay. Say for example, I'm interested in applying for my PhD in nutrition science. So I will select that program and I will click on learn more. This is literally the welcome page of their nutrition science department. आपको यहाँ पे सारी इंफॉर्मेशन मिल जाएगी. कौन है प्रोग्राम के को डायरेक्टर्स, अगर इफ यू हैव एनी क्वेश्चंस रिलेटेड टू एडमिशन, who to contact, these are already right here. So all you have to do is email them. Hello ma'am, I am so and so. I have this experience. I'm looking forward to applying for fall intake, and these are my research interests. Blah blah blah. Whatever your question is, you already have enough information to go off just looking at this page. Okay. Look at that. There is a master's tab. If you are interested in masters, they have a master's in nutritional biochemistry and physiology. They have a master's in applied and community nutrition, and they have a master's in dietetics. So अगर आप RD बनना चाहते हो, so that is the program you will select for. इसमें आपको ना कि मास्टर्स मिल जाएगा, आपका जो डायटेटिक्स का इंटर्नशिप जो रोटेशन होता है, आपका वो भी कवर हो जाएगा. So when you graduate, you not only have your master's, you already have your RD. All you have to do is clear the RD national exam and get your license. Okay, it's that easy. अगर आप PhD में जाना चाहते हो, all you have to do is click on the philosophy graduate program का page. यहाँ पे admission criteria क्या है? Everything is right here. You don't even have to go anywhere. क्या क्या prerequisites है आप अगर आप PhD में apply करना चाहते हो? They need a master's. They need you to have the chemistry, the organic chemistry courses. They need you to have, a fair understanding of biology, chemistry, physics, calculus, nutrition, food science, जो आपके पास already है. They already have the requirements for TOEFL that I was saying, the English examinations that you need to give. तो उनका क्या कट ऑफ्स है, वहां तक की डिटेल्स आपको यहाँ पे दी गई है. ठीक है. So these are the things that's going to already be there. Look at that. GRE is not a requirement. So you can even not give GRE and still get an admission here. Again, if there is a need to know about the financial aid, that option is also right there. The moment you click on financial aid, it's going to tell you what kind of teaching assistantship, research, or graduate assistantships they have. Okay, it's written right here that since the assistantship, the number varies, the deadline is January 1st, right? So you already know if you are thinking of applying for next fall, you have to do all the paperwork and application before that deadline so that आप consider किए जाओगे for any of the scholarships. The way you need to see your alignment, faculty is where you're going to see कि बाबा मुझे ये particular doctor के साथ research करना है. अगर आपको न्यूट्रिशनल एपिडेमियोलॉजी में इंटरेस्ट है तो शी माइट बी अ गुड फिट. यहाँ पे आपको हर एक के रिसर्च इंटरेस्ट पता चल जाएंगे. सो यू विल इजीली बी एबल टू आइडेंटिफाई कि ये डॉक्टर है जो मेरा एडवाइजर बन सकता है या बन सकती है. If you are interested in nutrition ed, health promotion, she might be a good person to get in touch with. You just don't stop here. You click on their profile and actually read what is their research focus on. And if you find something interesting, shoot them an email that I read your paper on so and so. I was really interested in letting know more about social determinants of health. Ask interesting questions once you have read the research paper. Don't just skim or browse through their profile and ask them any question. They are not going to respond to you. So genuinely take time and interest, read about which person you want to work with for the next 4 years or for masters. Okay, ये is just the faculty list for nutrition science. आप देख सकते हो, there are so many professors who are in that department. तो कहीं ना कहीं आपको कोई तो मिल ही जाएगा जिनका research interest आपके साथ मिलता जुलता हो. Like for example, I really love maternal, excuse me, I am into maternal health. Maybe I feel, oh, Dr. Raval is going to be a good fit for me. I will read her profile. I will identify what part of maternal health am I interested in. I can read about what are the funding that she has right now. उससे ये भी पता चल जाता है whether she's going to help me financially support my education. What kind of publications, So read. Take time, read all of that because that's going to help you and align everything, okay? Okay, last slide, I promise. I'm sorry, I have the itch. Okay, before I let you all go and before you can ask me questions, I want you to, the only takeaway I would say is finding your ikigai in nutrition, okay? What is it that you love? What nutrition problems excite your curiosity? What are the opportunities that you can create because of that interest or passion that you have within yourself? What does the world need right now? Like, what health challenges do you want to help solve? Is it food insecurity? Is it food adulteration, like some of you said? Is it iodine deficiency? Is it iron deficiency? Are these problems common and relevant in the world today? If they are, how can you help solve that problem? What are you good at? What skills and strengths will you develop? ये सारे components जब आप इकट्ठे करते हो, that's your ikigai. That's your purpose of life. So I want you to take this time and literally write what is it that you love, how can you build your career in that, what does the world need, and what are you good at. Okay, that's going to help you decide your majors. That's going to help you decide the topic for your research. That's going to help you decide which advisor, which university, which program you go into. Okay, so take some time, take a screenshot if you want, and do spend some time answering that question. Okay, and now the most awaited question and answer time. Okay, bring it on, people. Bring it on. Thank you so much for listening to the whole presentation. And I will take any and every questions that you have now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. This was a really very, very informative and inspiring session. I mean, while listening to all of this, I literally feel like I should I should start working on this. It was
Yes,
really, really
you
insightful.
should. You should. And I am telling you guys, if y'all are interested, if you need help in writing SOP, in analyzing your, like profile, if you want to work on your CV, get in touch with me. I'll help you. I'll at least review some of that. So
That is really kind of you. Really kind of you. Thank you so much.
of
Uh,
course,
I'm sure everyone has gained valuable insights into pursuing a nutrition career abroad.
I
So while
hope.
listening to this, I could literally imagine myself, doing all these things like, uh, you know, how we are going to actually enter in US, like imagining everything virtually. Like, yes, this is actually going to happen.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm glad you felt that way, because first you need to visualize, then it becomes a reality. And I'm a firm believer in that. Like I said, I was only 17 when I went to Japan. And the first time I thought, wow, the world is so big. Like, how have I limited myself to Mumbai only? That was the seed that planted that dream of going abroad and getting my master's and my PhD from abroad. So visualize it, see where you see yourself, 5 years from now, 3 years from now. Which country, which program, what research, what will your lab look like? What will be the kind of work you'll be doing? Visualize, think about it.
All right. All right. So let's make this interactive. I have a quick question for everyone. How many of you are currently students? You can type in the chat box students, or if you are professional, just type in the chat box professional, or any other question that you want to ask. I guess everyone are already settled in US.
No, I know, right? Like nobody has any questions. They're like, हाँ, chat GPT से पूछ लेंगे.
But
Chat
this was
GPT भी उतना ही बताएगा जो वो सबको बताता है. If you ask me, I'll be able to give you real answers. Okay. Anyone?
I guess the presentation was completely wholesome, and it actually covers everything, almost covered every single interest that everyone needs.
I am glad you found it helpful. But again, there are no right or wrong questions. People, you need to ask questions. अगर आप researcher बनना चाहते हो, आपके पास सवाल कैसे नहीं है? Is my question to everyone. If you are wanting to study masters, PhD, if you want to do your research, you need to have questions regarding RD exam of USA. Sure. What about it? It's a computer-based question. You get one question, you have multiple choices, and yep, that's how you clear the RD exam here. Can you apply from India? Nope. Anything that we do in India cannot be applicable here. It's not going to be helpful. You'll have to redo your master's, redo your rotation, the RD internship, and then sit for the exam.
Is there any other opportunities, like remote opportunities, where we can work in India, like we can reside in India but work in?
Voluntary, unpaid, sure, not the paid part.
Okay, voluntary, be it voluntary, unpaid. So we have
Yes,
two options.
voluntary, I think you will still find different opportunities, especially in non-profit, especially in like small institutions. You will still find opportunities to volunteer somehow. But of course, if you're looking for paid opportunities, unfortunately, that cannot be done remotely. Funding, Trump administration, have they blocked the funding for masters? Yes and no, I would say. They have defunded environmental sciences program and some of that. Sure, that affects the pool, the amount that is available for the universities, but that doesn't mean that he has blocked funding from masters for the universities. Okay, he has defunded some of the program, but that's not related to the nutrition science thing that we are talking about today. Okay, so again, like I said, masters, if you're planning to pursue masters, make sure that you can financially support yourself at least for one whole year before you can apply for any other kind of assistantships or scholarships on campus, off campus. Okay, मास्टर्स के लिए आप आ रहे हो तो उतनी तैयारी आपको रखनी पड़ेगी कि आपको जेब से ट्यूशन एटलीस्ट फर्स्ट ईयर के लिए भरना है, और सिर्फ ट्यूशन नहीं, आपका लिविंग एक्सपेंस, आपका फूड, रेंट, बिल्स, मोबाइल बिल्स, सब कुछ आपको खुद से ही भरना होगा. If you are not getting a stipend, you are responsible for all the expenditure. Okay, so that's going to be a big difference versus if you're applying for PhD, you will be funded, you will be getting a stipend. So make sure. How early should a PhD scholar start preparing and applying for postdoctoral positions in the US? So you are saying if somebody is already a PhD in India, for them, I just need some. Okay, so if you already have a PhD in India, you will be able to come here on a J1 visa for your postdoc. And again, the timeline remains the same. Give yourself a whole year, if not more, to like prepare for your application. So again, the same process. Start by identifying which lab or which advisor you want to work with. You have to identify whether they have vacancy and they are employing a postdoc at this point. क्योंकि postdoc को full time payment देना पड़ता है, you know. So if they don't have the funds and if they don't have vacancy, there are fewer chances that they are going to accept your application. So first make sure that the lab is good, there is continuous funding, and they are going to support you for your J1 visa. Those are the three things. And of course, give yourself at least 12 months, if not more. How many rotations or standalone internships they see as must required before RD? जैसे इंडिया में टाइम होता है कि 6 months is the internship, यहाँ पे hours होता है. Okay, so I think the whole internship is anywhere between 1200 to 1500 hours. उसमें से आप like 100 hours आप community के लिए करोगे, 100 hours आप hospital में करोगे, 100 hours आप clinical or ICU में करोगे. So that's how it's split here in the USA. So you have to finish public health rotation, community rotation, ICU rotation, food service and the tray service rotation, all of those before they can give you the verification certificate. Only after that you can sit for the RD exam. Okay? So I think it's 1200 to 1500 hours, anywhere between that. Trump administration, what about jobs after master's or PhD? Recent news, not allowed to work after study. No, you are still allowed to work after study. I don't know where you're getting your information. Like I keep saying, don't believe everything you hear. There are some rules that cannot be changed. Okay. And even if you think that temporarily they are changed, once the power and the administration change, the rules change. Okay. So right now you are working after masters. If your program is a STEM program, you get 1 plus 2 years. So total of 3 whole years to work after your master's or your PhD. And if it is a non-STEM program, then you get 1 year legally to work in this country. Does that answer your question? Okay. Any other question? जॉब सिनेरियो ग्लोबली हर एक जगह पे अभी बुरा चल रहा है. A lot of it has to do with the economy of the countries. A lot of that has to do with the AI bubble right now. A lot of that has to do with the geopolitical scenarios. But that doesn't mean that the jobs are not there. You just have to start applying way in advance. You cannot wait like me to graduate and then keep applying for jobs. You have to apply for your jobs while in your last year of your master's or your PhD. पूरा 1 साल 2 अपने आप को जॉब एप्लीकेशन करने के लिए आज के टाइम में. पहले ऐसा होता था कि यू ग्रेजुएट 3 months यू हैव अ जॉब फॉर श्योर. अब ऐसा है कि you will not have a job immediately after you graduate. You have to give yourself at least 6 months to give enough time to apply and secure a job before you graduate. We can upskill ourselves to make our future secure. Yes and yes. And that is why, again, you have the innovation part, you have the labs, the advanced technology. The opportunities are plenty when you go outside of India in some of the specializations and some of the um, majors, I would say. Healthcare is great here, and you will get that opportunity to get hands-on experience in turn with some company, some organization, and get that skill upgradation through your curriculum and throughout your PhD training or your master's training. And that's exactly what's going to help you get a job once you graduate. So upskilling is not even an option now, it's a must for everyone, irrespective of what field you are in. What else? Anyone? I know we have gone above time, so thank you very much for your continuous participation. And I really appreciate each one of you for taking the time to be here and listening to me blabber. I am going to leave everyone with this last one. This is me with my advisor the day I graduated with my PhD. Her name is Dr. Kathleen Davis. She is an angel. After the bad experience that I had in Nebraska, she was a God sent person in my life. She has helped me to not only be a better human, but so much better researcher. I have learned tons of invaluable skills and lessons from her. And I think that's what sets me apart. And I think it took me a while to get the job, but when I got the job, I got a freaking good job. Okay. So sometimes it's all about patience, and you need to have, fortune on your side when you're studying abroad. That is why I keep saying uh, of it is not for the faint of heart. You need to be anti-fragile. You need to be persevere. You need to have that perseverance, that patience within you to be in the other country, have no connections, feel homesick, still show up every day in classes, work side by side, manage your household, do the dishes, pay the bills, graduate, find a job. Okay? It's a whole package. But living and studying abroad is going to do all of that for you. and you are going to be 100x person and a researcher once you are on the other side of it. Okay? Don't look at other person's grass and feel it's green. You need to start watering your own lawn if you want your grass to be green. Okay? Everybody has their own journey. You are at your own. Don't compare yourself. Don't have the imposter syndrome. Easier said than done, but that's going to take you ahead in life. So you can follow me on Instagram. I have an open account. It's called Doc Steminist. This book, the YouTube nutrition education book, this is my PhD dissertation. It was 169 pages. I typed on my own with no chat GPT. So that's something I'm really proud of. Every time I have done graduated before the whole AI took over, I think I'm really proud of myself for everything I've accomplished. And I want you all to have the same feeling. So, again, use your thinking brain. Don't rely on AI. AI is here to enhance you, enhance and help you, not replace your intelligence and thinking ability. Just keep that in mind. Again, any other questions? Otherwise,